Hey guys, meet Joshua. I wanted to capture him on video a little bit because I remember from the other kids how fast this part of their little tiny lives go by. And in only one short week, which today marks 1 week, he's already recovered his birth weight and gaining some. So I just wanted everyone to be able to say, "Hi, Joshua." Oh yeah, tell him all about it. He's tired. I woke him up for the video. Sorry, little guy, you can go back to sleep. Anyways, hey guys, good news. Within the last week, I had a baby. So, first of all, I was nearing my 40 days, or 40, I was nearing the last of my 40 weeks, and went in for my final 39-week prenatal checkup appointment. And I was I was set on it being okay that I go. And so because of that peace and that calmness, I was just a little bit shocked when I went to my last appointment and my midwife talked to me about another one of the risks of gestational diabetes, and that is for post-term baby, meaning going past your due date. The risk of stillbirth goes up. And so I guess the placenta and everything just don't do as well when battling the blood sugar hormones. So, and besides that, I had 3 more days pretty much until I was exactly 40 weeks to come home and try other home induction methods. So I was doing like everything, going on really long walks, having extra interlopes in the bedroom, eating pineapple, using essential oils, using stimulating points on the body, acupressure points, and also nipple stimulation, like everything I could think of, everything that they say in the books to try to induce labor naturally. And finally, on the last day, on Saturday, I was full term officially on Sunday. On Saturday, I used my grandma's tried and true method, which would be castor oil. She was a labor and delivery nurse for a long time. And I'm doing all of these things and focusing on getting the baby to come in my own terms as much as I can, just because I wanted to avoid being induced as much as I could. So I used 2 tablespoons of castor oil, which was enough to make me nauseous. And 2 hours into it, I was just feeling nauseous and had what I felt like could be my first contraction. Now, contractions are kind of difficult to be like, oh, that was for sure a contraction, because especially if you're active during the day, you're moving around, it's not always easy to tell, was that the baby just rolling around or was that a small contraction? Unless they fall into like a rhythmic pattern, it's kind of hard to tell that it's a contraction, for me at least. So I felt like maybe I had a contraction, and so I just went into labor mode, and I just pulled out my music and my essential oils, my yoga ball, and just kind of focused for a couple hours, like maybe an hour and a half, with really sporadic, random, varying intensities, but all very light contractions with no pain. And then all of a sudden, even though they were light, even though there was no pattern, it must have worked for me. Changing positions every few minutes and just working into lunging positions, using the ball, and being in that quiet space. Oh, really worked for me, because next what came was the cramping part of using the castor oil, and that brought on the next phase of contractions really fast. So much so that I was cramping and couldn't recognize if the contractions were keeping up or not. And then when my husband heard me, he make a noise when I was in the bathroom. He felt like he would be a lot more comfortable if we'd go down south. Like, we live an hour away from the hospital. So we started making our way down south, and the contractions started coming 2 minutes apart, which is really fast. I'm used to like an 8-hour labor pattern, and I've had 4 kids that way, and so to jump into this and have in 2 hours of labor, would have really short, really fast contraction times. I was kind of scared. And so, I went through a really fast labor. We barely made it to the hospital. We had half an hour once we got there. All of my nurses are like trying to chase me down and do lab work and get my vitals and ask me the like intake questions. And I'm just like, you're going to have to wait for the next one. Anyways, my mom barely made it to support me. My doula did not make it to the hospital. And my husband, my mom, and my midwife were really a perfect team, and they helped me to get Joshua out with just 2 pushes, and it was a really magical experience. So I wanted to compare and contrast a little bit about this labor and delivery with my other labors and delivery. So one thing, there's a couple of elements I feel like that maybe made this labor faster. One, I was in really good shape before delivering this baby. And I've always exercised through all of my other pregnancies. And I've always, like even up to the last week, I'm still walking, I'm still lifting weights and stuff. And so the difference this time was, I used a really specific prenatal exercise routine program that was good at opening my hips and training my body, and my leg and my back muscles to be ready for birth. I loved it, and it made it so that I still had a waist at 40 weeks pregnant. I felt like that. I still had ab muscles to be able to push the baby out. So that was one difference that was huge. Another difference was because, like I've said in another video, I was watching my diet. I did not gain a whole bunch of swelling water weight. And so I feel like that may have made a difference on my time, just because I could feel the contractions better. I could move. I had a lot more mobility to move into different labor positions. I feel like that was really, really helpful for speeding up my labor and delivery time. Another thing that was great was that I was in control of my body and where it was moving. And because I didn't have an epidural, I could change positions even at the very late stage of labor, and into the pushing phase of labor. I was able to move on my hands and knees, move to my side, lay down, get back up, and that was all very liberating. Like I felt very much in control of my labor. Okay, all of that stuff aside, let's talk a little bit about the recovery process with still wanting to keep this Nutritarian lifestyle. So all the way up until the placenta comes out, we're monitoring my blood sugar. And after the baby comes out, we're monitoring his blood sugar levels to make sure he's not hypoglycemic, because that's another thing we have to watch for with gestational diabetes. By the way, his blood sugar numbers were all fantastic. We are not worried about him at all. He's doing fine, and I think that is just because I controlled the diabetes so well. Sorry, he's making really cute little movements. Let's see if I can hold him up a little higher and you can see some of his movements too. Although I don't know if he'll listen to me after this because he's just so cute. Say hi, Joshua. He's just barely awake and cooing and making great newborn noises. Okay, so keeping to my diet. So it's been a little bit of a journey, and I feel like I should be honest about it just because I wanted to be really strict with it and just transition straight into postnatal life, sticking 100% to a Nutritarian lifestyle. And I have to kind of disclose the things that made it so that I couldn't be 100% strict and honest, just so that maybe someone else in their journey can either learn to forgive themselves for making mistakes too, or maybe plan a little bit better than I did. So I planned really well for labor and delivery. I brought snacks. I brought Nutritarian things that I could eat, those little date and nut rolls or balls, like I don't know what Dr. Fuhrman calls them, but they're just like Larabars that you make at home, only they're just little pieces. I made a couple different varieties of those, so I just had, two 2-bite pieces that I could eat in between contractions. And that held me through labor and that night. So my next phase was I decided to stay with my mom close to the hospital for the next few days. My mom did a pretty good job of keeping healthy foods around and in stock for me. However, I wasn't used to the amount of unhealthy foods that she had still in her cupboards. And so just things like candy and almond bark, which is one of my all-time favorite trigger foods, cheese, processed meats. Like, there was just all of these things that were on hand that were easy to grab, that were like a lot easier than chopping up a salad or making oatmeal. And so there were, even though I did pretty well having a salad every day, or a big fat green smoothie, or like I also ate beans every day, there were still several servings of things that were, that I hadn't eaten in a long time that I let myself indulge in. And I'm kind of glad that I did let myself indulge in some things that I wouldn't normally eat, and just didn't stress about it and just let it go. Otherwise, I wouldn't have stayed with my mom. I would have left the first day. And I'm really grateful that I got that time to rest. So now that I'm home and back into the rhythm using a menu, it's a lot, and with my kids being home and in their normal sphere and able to help me cook, it's a lot easier on my diet. The foods that I want to eat are all here in my cupboards. There's nothing that I shouldn't be eating here, and that just makes it a lot easier on me. So what I had done this time that's really helping is I had made a big batch of chili. So there's like 6 little dinner serving size baggies of chili in my fridge. I made mushroom barley soup before I went into labor for myself to eat one night, and I had 4 servings, and so I put 2 or 3 of them away in the freezer as well. So I have that. I can draw on that. I don't have to be going anywhere, but in the next couple of weeks, just family life and stuff will pull me out of my kitchen and out of my house. And I can just take a frozen bag of beans with me and just eat wherever we're going, and not worry so much about it. So drawbacks were being in someone else's home and someone else's kitchen with someone else's junk food. The hospital was not a Nutritarian friendly place to eat. And, I feel like a monster that needs to eat everything when I'm nursing. So I'm going to have to figure out how to get around that. Although for the first 2 weeks, I'm just not going to judge myself. I'm going to let myself snack when I need to snack, which is so not how I've been eating recently. And I'm kind of having a hard time with that because I made such progress towards getting down to only eating 3 meals a day for my blood sugar issues. But I'm going to be nice and let myself eat some snacks, and that might bring with it some more water weight or some more food weight or whatever you want to call that. But I feel like that's just necessary for my healing process. So I hope next time that I get up here and make a video I'll come back with some ideas for how to get around that constant snacky feeling. Or maybe I'm snacky more right now because I am healing and I'm going through a nutritional deficiency phase. So we'll see. Only time will tell. Thanks so much for letting me debrief my wonderful birth experience to you. And just continue sharing my diabetic journey with you. Thanks for watching.